After midnight, won't somebody help me take the shadow away? Hello, Chief.
Dark.
Well, what's up? What can I help you with?
I wanted to talk to you about the Frost McQuillan
Oh,
snow
yeah.
leak thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of very long after all that happened,
Yeah.
but I was hoping you could run Peters and refresh me on exactly what happened. Um did you share a report with me about that? I
I
don't
can't
remember.
remember, I'll be honest. It's been a while. Let me have a look. I don't think I did share it with you, but I'll share it with you now. It was the original report, right, that you wanted from when he spoke with Daisy?
Maybe, yes.
I think that was right, yeah.
Oh, hey, Dark. Long time no see.
Hey, good to see you, man.
Thank you for sending me that, by the way.
No problem. Let's have a look. So basically, the way that this started, I'm trying to refresh myself, I'll be honest. The way this started was through the whole snow thing. So he got apprehended, and during his interrogation, he basically implied that he'd been given information by members of the PD about his warrant, knew the details about it, and that kind of stuff. So myself, Masters, and Maxwell kind of agreed we would do like a joint operation type thing to try and figure this out. I think it was you as well, Peters, right? I think,
Yeah, I
yeah,
was helping out a little bit with it.
yeah. You kind of pushed us to be, make sure we looked into that straight after the interrogation. So there was a couple of things. There was eventually Masters subpoenaed Snow's phone and got that document off his phone, but the conclusion we came to was the document kind of it might have been someone who used to be PD, but it was likely not an active PD member. But then when it came to all the information that he knew about his warrant, I think it came through. I found this old report about a meeting with Sean McQuillan that I've shared with Daisy now. It kind of connected because there was a excuse me, sorry. There was a text message from an unknown contact, an unknown number to Snow, um, saying that a mutual Irish friend of ours said I should get a hold of you and give you a hand. So there was already a suspicion that that might have been Sean McQuillan, based on I think I was with you, Peters, one day. We were talking outside the Marshal office with Nova, and Sean McQuillan's car was like hanging around across the street. And I later saw it up in Mirror Park as well. So there was a suspicion that he might have been involved in the whole Snow thing. But then I found this old report, which was a meeting with Sean McQuillan, that Daisy Dukakis had, Marshal Dukakis. I don't know whether she was the field marshal at the time, but either way, he basically came forward with information saying that someone in, I think it said a male officer, because he said he, in the LSPD had given him information, had leaked Jackie Snow's arrest warrant to him. This would, let me just make sure I'm reading the report properly because I can't remember exactly. But basically, the information about the warrant had been leaked to him. Daisy got him to verify this by, sorry, by basically asking him what was in the warrant then, to try and get him to verify it. And he gave details that were very accurate, indicating that he had been given valid information.
Excuse me, sorry.
It's all right.
Hello.
Yeah. So basically, Sean, I later went and, well, doing a bit of investigation. He said he was, he said it was an LSPD officer that had told him this information, and so the only valid contact that we know that he had with police was specifically LSPD as well, was from his arrests was the 26th of October. He was arrested at a cash exchange. And in that, there was Ruby York, Jimmy Frost, and Wade Bradford from the LSPD. So it was limited already. Then looking back at the initial report that he gave to Daisy, he mentioned he, so we knew it was a male officer. And eventually I called Sean in to the Marshal office. His statement was that he was enjoying himself, messing around during the cash exchange, and was talking to the officer while robbing a cash exchange. Sorry, I'm reading that backwards. This was the last time he got arrested. He wasn't rooting around for info, but sensed that Frost wasn't happy about ongoing situations. Frost brought up the snow situation, and then Sean dug into that and asked about it. Frost then started telling Sean everything he asked about, including the warrant and all its details. He spoke with Frost out front of the cash exchange. Now, initially, he didn't say the name of the officer, but in the incident report, 10313, there's a photo of him having a conversation with Frost outside. So it's confirmed that they were chatting that day. So eventually, I basically lied to him and said, well, you said he in the original report. So the only two LSPD officers on scene were Ruby and Jimmy. So was it Jimmy? And then he confirmed that it was Jimmy Frost. And then he gave me more the rest of the details that I've told you.
Someone maybe it was Doc yesterday mentioned that the statement, well, everyone in the LSPD is corrupt. Why can't I be? Do you remember that being said?
I can't remember the exact term of phrase, but Sean did mention something along those lines that Frost in this situation was very much like upset about the current situation and like the current state of affairs, and that's how it all kind of came to be. I can't remember the exact quote because it was a long time ago. And I didn't quote it directly, so I'm not 100% whether he said that. But that was definitely the vibe that Sean described.
Well, we've spoken to Jimmy about it a couple times,
Mm-hmm.
and he adamantly denies the accusations.
Yeah, should be expected.
Was very defensive about the whole thing. What I had to walk away for a second. What happened yesterday, Peters?
Basically, I talked to Maxwell a little bit, and Masters filled me in before I was kind of like on my vacation for the past few weeks.
Yeah.
And they were actively looking into it, and then I brought it up to Maxwell, and Maxwell kind of like filled me in on some of the details, and was very convinced with her findings as well as Masters and you. But then I pulled him into a room and I was just like, look, man, this is what's going on. So, command are held to a higher standard than your standard officer. We have to ensure that, there isn't, listen, as much as I'm a dumbass, there's certain lines I will not cross. And I expect for members of command not to cross those lines. So I need to know what happened. Here's what's going on. I'm going to give you the opportunity to come clean. If you do not, your job is going to be on the line. He's just like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then I went a little bit deeper. I was like, okay, details of the snow investigation. He's like, nope. I was like, okay, Sean McQuillan. And he's just like, oh, you're going to trust a criminal over trusting your own officer? And I was like, okay, go take your stripes off. And then now I think we're at a point where we're trying to figure out what to do. The reality is he could not be in command at this point because of the actions that took place. I guess for me and Moss, figuring out if he should even have a job here. My biggest issue is that if we have him at a normal officer, that he just transfers to the BCSO and then weasels his way back into the same spot where he had a position before. I have to, regardless, I need to talk to the sheriff to make sure that that doesn't happen. But ultimately figuring out like, hey, command is well, I mean, just your job here is a privilege. It's not a right. That being said, do your fucking job. Don't leak details of an active investigation and everything else that's going on.
I will say, and I think I mentioned this to Doc, back when we were working on this actively. I had an investigation a while ago where, I don't know whether you remember, but King was involved in a OIS where Madison Bancroft, the ex-police officer, was shot and killed during a police shooting. And I was brought a complaint, basically saying that somehow King's name was out on the streets, that he was the one who killed Madison. So I looked into this. I'll be honest, there was nothing of evidentiary value that could point me, that could, I guess, give enough evidence to say that an officer did this. The only officer's name that came up that could have possibly leaked this information with the time frame was Jimmy Frost. So when this came up again, it kind of all clicked, and maybe this isn't the first time he's done it. Again, I will say that there was nothing founded, and I couldn't get any evidence to suggest that it actually was him. It's just that the circumstantial evidence pointed towards Frost. So take that with a grain of salt, but, for me, this happening again, I guess looking back on it, maybe wasn't much of a surprise. But yeah.
Okay. I don't know if do you have anything else, boss?
No, I just appreciate your time. Thank you,
No
Dark.
problem. Yeah.
Yes, all jokes aside, Dark, I think you're good. Don't ever ask me to say that again.
I will. I'll record it. There's probably cameras. There's a camera
I'm not
behind you, man.
saying it. There's no microphone.
You need to get microphones in there. Listen, I'm just gonna say one thing before I'll get out of your hair. I think something to consider is if Frost is already feeling a certain way about LSPD, if he just gets demoted, then he's gonna feel even more a certain way about LSPD and the police in general, and he might go on a spree of leaking information, and that's a dangerous thing to consider.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So, with the evidence you got, if you truly believe that he did this, which I do, based on the evidence we have, me personally, I'd fire him, but it's not my place. But I'll leave you with that.
We both appreciate your advice. I just wanted to make sure to get kind of like all the details.
No,
first,
of course, yeah.
Before kind of like just being like, all right, I think firing someone unjustly is kind of fucked up. But
no, I agree.
Yeah. So okay.
I've shared both those reports with Moss, so there's details and stuff in there. But I didn't. We could have brought. By the way, we could have brought Sean in again. I didn't press him too much. Obviously, there could have been more details, but it wasn't an official interview or anything, so there's no recording, just to put that out there. Because I wanted to get the information out of him without, him being squeamish and squirmy and trying to wiggle out of it. But yeah, I appreciate you guys. You take it easy, okay?
Okay, thank you.
We'll see what happens with old Jimmy Frost.